Items so soaked in darkness and malevolent energy that merely touching them could bring tragedy into your life. These are the things of nightmares: old relics, haunted dolls, ancient jewelry, all with one thing in common: misfortune follows them like a shadow. But where do these curses come from? Is it just superstition, or is there something more sinister lurking in the history of these objects? Maybe it's all a case of having really bad luck, like I just wanted to touch this creepy old doll and now my house is on fire kind of bad luck. But let's be honest, these curses aren't just about unlucky breaks. They're much darker, much weirder, and way more horrifying than you might think. Today we're diving headfirst into the creepy world of cursed objects, where they come from, the bizarre stories tied to them, and why maybe, just maybe, you should avoid buying that dusty old painting at your next garage sale. For centuries, people have believed in the power of objects to bring good or bad fortune. From ancient relics meant to protect warriors to relics said to carry divine blessings, human history is riddled with objects infused with supernatural power. But for every lucky charm, there are items that seem to carry much darker weight. Curses themselves go back to ancient times. The Egyptians, for example, were notorious for placing curses on their tombs to protect the resting place of pharaohs. The idea was simple: mess with the dead and they'll mess with you hard. But it wasn't Egypt. Ancient civilizations across the globe believed that certain objects could be cursed, imbued with evil spirits, or worse, the malice of a vengeful human spirit. Sometimes these objects were created intentionally to bring harm, but other times they absorbed the negative energy of tragic events like murder, suffering, or betrayal. Basically, if you got a rusty knife or a creepy doll laying around your house, and your family's been fighting a lot lately, maybe it's time to do some spring cleaning or just, burn the whole house down. We've laid down the foundation. Let's take a look at some of the most infamous cursed objects in history. And trust me, these stories aren't for the faint of heart. Let's start with one of the most famous, the Hope Diamond. The Hope Diamond is a beautiful, deep blue gemstone prized for its size and its rare color. But despite its beauty, this stone has a dark reputation. It's said that anyone who owns or even handles the diamond is doomed to experience great misfortune or death. This gemstone has passed through the hands of kings, jewelers, and collectors, and with it, death, bankruptcy, and even madness. It's like the ultimate finders keepers. Well, also losers. You touch it, you lose, simple as that. One of the most notable tragedies linked to the Hope Diamond is the story of French King Louis and his wife Marie Antoinette. Both were beheaded during the French Revolution, and surprise, surprise, they were once in possession of the Hope Diamond. Over the centuries, more than a dozen people have supposedly fallen victim to the curse of the Hope Diamond. Some went bankrupt, others suffered tragic deaths, and a few, well, let's just say their lives took a sharp turn for the worse. But cursed jewels are just the beginning. Let's talk about one of the most infamous haunted dolls of all time, Annabelle. This raggedy old doll might not look terrifying at first glance, but Annabelle's story is enough to send shivers down your spine. Purchased in the 1970s as a gift, Annabelle quickly became the center of paranormal activity. Her owners reported that she would move on her own, change positions, and even leave handwritten notes around the house. Yeah, you heard that right. The doll would leave notes, which is honestly kind of impressive. I can barely get my dog to piss outside. And here's Annabelle organizing her own creepy little to-do list. It wasn't even just about the notes. People who came in contact with Annabelle reported feeling a dark, oppressive presence. One man claimed that after mocking the doll, he was attacked by an unseen force that nearly killed him in a motorcycle accident. Now Annabelle resides in the Warren Occult Museum, locked away in a glass case for everyone's safety. Visitors are actually warned not to taunt or make light of her curse, unless of course you want to risk finding out just how real it is. Next up is the Dybbuk box, a wine cabinet that's said to be haunted by a malevolent spirit known as Dybbuk. The Dybbuk is a demon from Jewish folklore, believed to possess people and wreak havoc on their lives. According to legend, a man purchased the box at an estate sale and immediately began experiencing strange occurrences, terrible nightmares, the smell of rotting flesh, and a string of bad luck that almost destroyed his life. The box is currently owned by Zach Baggins, host of Ghost Adventures, who claims it's one of the most dangerous items in his possession. And let's be honest, when a professional ghost hunter tells you something is too dangerous to handle, you should probably listen. And last but not least, our final cursed object is one that terrorized the homes of many people in the 1980s. The Crying Boy painting. This seemingly innocent artwork of a young boy with tears streaming down his face was mass-produced, and thousands of people had it hanging on their walls. But soon, reports began pouring in. Homes with the painting started burning down. Even stranger, the painting would survive every single fire completely untouched. Yes, you heard that right, the house would be reduced to ash, and yet the crying boy painting would emerge perfectly intact. Firefighters even began noticing a pattern. Whenever a house burned down and they found the painting in the wreckage, it was always untouched by the flames. Which really makes you wonder, why did so many people keep hanging this thing up? Like, if a painting of a crying kid starts burning down houses, maybe it's time to switch up to a nice landscape or something. Over time, hundreds of people who owned the crying boy reported unexplained fires. Eventually, the UK tabloid The Sun ran a story in the 1980s about the curse, warning people to take the painting down immediately. Some owners even tried to destroy the paintings, only to find that it couldn't be easily burned or torn. Whether it's just a coincidence or something far more sinister, the curse of the crying boy remains one of the most mysterious and terrifying stories of cursed objects in recent memory. These stories capture our imagination. Why are we so drawn to the idea that certain objects can be cursed, haunted, or imbued with supernatural power? Some say it's human nature to attach meaning to the unexplained. When tragedy strikes, whether it's a string of bad luck or something far worse, we search for a cause, something to blame. And cursed objects, they're the perfect scapegoat. But what if there's more to it than that? What if over time certain objects can really absorb the negative energy around them? After all, many of these objects are tied to tragic events, death, betrayal, suffering. Could it possibly be that the energy from these things lingers in the object themselves? Or maybe cursed objects are just a great excuse for when you spill your coffee for the 5th time in one day. Nah, it's not me. Must be the cursed vase I picked up at that antique store. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Stay weird.